Okay.
Okay is right. And we are live here on the Friday Farcast. And of course, on Fridays, we get to talk to other people. And today we have a very special guest, somebody who watches the show on a frequent basis, somebody whom I've actually met IRL in real life. And he's, I think, our first official interview with Generation A. And I want to introduce everybody to Axel, the history kid. Hi, Axel.
Hello, everybody.
So, welcome to the show. And
Thank you.
it's great to have you here. Let me see if I can fire up the chat. Can I see chat here? Let's go with comments. There we go. I got the chat open up so I can see people's reactions and maybe they can pose some questions to you and get to know you a little bit better here over the next 60 minutes or so. So I believe it was almost a year ago when I met you,
Yeah.
and you came to my house with the reputation of being a fire eater, that you really liked hot peppers.
Yeah. Yeah. I tried that, but I tried a habanero once and it did not go that well. I ended up crying and the pain ended up lasting 15 minutes. I was going to try it at Robert's house, but I was too afraid because I didn't want it to happen again, so I just had the smallest bite as possible.
Right. So at my house, I think we had the ghost pepper that had survived the heat of last year's summer. About the only thing that could grow were these obscenely hot peppers. And you did give it a little bit of a try. I have to give you credit for that.
Yeah, I did.
You gave it a
It was
little bit of a
good.
try.
It was good.
So how's the pepper eating going now?
It's doing all right. Um, I've gotten a lot better at it. I'm working my way up. I'm starting with like the jalapenos, like the weak ones, but I'm trying to go up. I'm trying to train my palate.
Well, you know what? You got to be really careful with the jalapenos because every now and then you'll get a freaking hot jalapeno, and it's like to me the jalapeno is the most inconsistent of the peppers.
Yeah,
You know what you're getting with like the Scotch bonnets and the ghost peppers, but
yeah,
every now and then you'll get a jalapeno that'll just knock you out.
yeah,
Well, good. So the other thing that you got into, I think, this last year was basketball.
yeah. I
Yeah.
love basketball.
So how did your season go?
I've had multiple seasons. I first started out with I-9. It was all right. It didn't have the best coaching, but it wasn't that much. I wasn't that good back then. Then I played for a team called Thunder, which has been one of my favorite teams, and it went pretty good. We actually we played all of our games before we had a tournament, and all the games before that were at home,
Right.
and we never were the away team unless it was the tournament.
So how did you do in the tournament?
Oh, we did really good. We were 2-2. It was in Round Rock, and let's see, our first game we lost, and this kid made this outstanding half court shot. It was just amazing.
Wow.
And then the next day, I had a game against, I forgot what their name was, but we won. I did decent that game. I think I did better the first game though.
Right.
And the following day, I had two games. One at the tip off was like 8 o'clock, and we lost. Then we had a game later that day, and I
Right.
made my first shot.
Good. Good. Yeah.
And then I had a following season at one of our local rec centers, DOS Rec, and my highlight was 6 points, and we did pretty good. We placed second overall. We lost to the first seed.
Well, there's no harm, no foul in
Yeah,
finishing second.
yeah,
So I think maybe you should model your game on Nikola Jokic. That's what I'm thinking.
yeah. I love Nikola Jokic, and in fact, right now I might do this later today. I'm actually trying to send it. I'm gonna send him a letter with. I have a couple of Nikola Jokic cards, and I'm gonna send my best one to him so he can sign it.
Well, you're both Pisces, so
Yeah,
let him know that you're both a member of the fish family.
yeah. I'll put that in my note for sure.
Yeah, he's really into horses and harness racing.
Oh yeah, there was a video of him riding his horses.
Right, right. Kind of interesting. You can invite him down to San Antone one of these days and do some horseback riding down there.
Yeah,
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about more than just basketball. Let's talk about you. I remember one of the first conversations I had with you. You were talking about what you were listening to, and you were really into like jazz music, and I'm like, what is going on with this kid? Like, where is he coming from? What are you listening to these days, Axel?
yeah. So there's this. I mean, occasionally I'll listen to some jazz music. Um, but there's this new kind of genre. It's called funk, F or PHONK. I'm listening to a lot of that. It's like this. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's like powerful music.
Powerful music with beats, like heavy beats, or like there's like a
It's like
fat bass or what?
it's a lot of heavy. It's not synthesizer, but it's not like real instruments. It's like online, digital.
Digital stuff. Cool.
Mhm.
Maybe we could find an example of that before the show's over, and
Yeah,
maybe I won't get hit with a copyright infringement. Before the show, I was looking around for some videos on Generation A, which is really the subtitle of the show. Actually,
yeah.
it's the title of the show. The subtitle is "Meet You," and I found this song, and I'm not going to play it because I don't want to get a copyright strike. But it's by a group called Arcade Fire, and it's called Generation A. And this was the live performance that was on the Stephen Colbert show. And I'm looking at this kid, and he swaggers up to the stage,
Oh,
and
that's a kid.
that's a kid, right? Like he's your age, I think. And he basically says, "This is Generation A," and then he throws the mic down.
Oh my.
And I thought this is really kind of an interesting symbol because first of all, he's young, but clearly he's dressed up and decked out, and he's dressed much older than his age would sort of relate to or be emblematic of. And then the second part is that he's wearing a mask.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
Right, right. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to share that image. And this is an image that I think again is tied into Generation A. This is your generation
Hmm.
was the generation that had to go through in some ways the most severe. Your generation and then the older generation, which would be Pluto and Cancer, which is my mother's generation. These are people that were in assisted living facilities. These two kind of bookend generations, very old and very young, were the
Yeah.
ones that had to go through I think, the hardest protocols and strictest standards for the whole COVID experience. As a kid who went through that, what was that like for you?
Um, it was kind of weird, but I kind of forgot about that. Um, it was really weird. Like it felt like I was in some sort of medieval plague outbreak. It was really weird to describe, but in that time period, it really was really weird. It felt uneasy, and it felt weird to be locked in my house.
Right,
Oh,
because you're a really active guy.
yeah.
Yeah, really active guy. What was it like with your friends during that time? Did you have contact with them?
Oh,
Did
yes,
you
I had contact. So I had this friend named Charlotte, and we'd hang out all the time during COVID-19. Like, we pretty much forgot what it was.
so you guys kind of lived and played by your own rules? Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. We play by our own rules. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. What about other kids? What was your what now? Aren't you homeschooled? Are you homeschooled?
Yes, I'm homeschooled. I really like history. So that's the name of my channel, really, because I love history.
So Axel has a YouTube channel. We'll make sure we put a link here in the description of the show.
My
Maybe
video was sort of poorly edited. It was poorly shot.
yeah. Well, apparently you've got an editor that works for free around there, also known as your dad. So
Yeah.
he can bone up on the editing part, and I'm sure you can learn it pretty quickly. What periods of history do you like? What are you into?
Um, I'm in like school or like sport or what?
Let's just like any part of history. Anything could be related to sports. It could be related to music. It could be related to
Um,
culture, architecture, whatever.
well, for history, I really like medieval period, like high medieval period. Like there was this war called the War of the Roses. I love that.
What do you like about it? What was your interest in it?
Um, I really like British monarchs. It just kind of intrigues me, really.
Right. Well, you're a Leo rising, so I think that's a
Mm,
good fit for you, right? The whole
yeah,
monarchy thing.
yeah.
Did you ever get into Richard the Lionhearted and the
Oh,
Crusades?
I love that man. Yeah, I have like an action figure of him. It's somewhere. I don't know where it is right now.
Richard the Lionhearted was a savage, man.
Yeah. In fact, he actually wanted to sell England.
Yeah, right. He was ahead of the curve a little bit. And the Muslims were not afraid of many people, but they were afraid of Richard the Lionhearted.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had his own protocols. So you've watched my show a lot, and you've heard a lot of the content that I cover. What do you think of this Tartaria thing that I talk about? Have you watched any of those episodes?
Um.
It's basically the hidden history of the United States, right? Like there's all these really weird buildings that nobody can really account for and how they got here and who built them. And there's like one story, but the story doesn't add up. Have you gotten into any of that at all?
Not yet, but next year, since in my homeschool co-op, we have like every year we do different cycles for different ages. I'm probably gonna be getting into that kind of stuff next year.
Well, there's a lot of great videos on YouTube, and what it really does is it really brings up more questions than answers when you look at some of these structures and you ask yourself, how did they do this? How did they build these things when
Mhm.
theoretically it was like a horse and buggy world? One of the things that is kind of in that realm is the Alamo in Texas. Have you been to the Alamo in San Antonio?
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
The Alamo is very fun to go to because um, so every time we go, we have this weird guy who was the tour guide, and he was very whiny, and it was very funny, and we had to listen to him the whole time because in the Alamo tour, you have these little pieces so you can hear this tour guide, and we had to go through that for like an hour. But the Alamo itself is really cool, and it's big, and the battle actually happened on my birthday.
Really?
Yes.
That's symbolic, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, interesting stuff. So, how old are you now? Are you 10? Is that how old you are?
11.
You're 11. Okay. So you've been in this world for 11 years now.
Mhm.
What are some impressions about being here and being 11 years old during this time that we're in?
Okay. Like, what do you mean by that?
Well, how do you feel? Like you look around and you see sort of the state of things. You see, because I know you're plugged into a lot of different kind of categories and sort of pieces of news, current news, and like how do you feel just about being a part of this world? Some people can't wait to get out of this world. They think it's a place that's set up to uh, bring about pain and failure. Other people have a more positive and optimistic view of life. Where are you on that spectrum, and how do you feel about being here?
It feels really cool, and um, really being an 11-year-old, it's hard to describe because being an 11-year-old, you experience like a lot of meme culture, really, and all your friends remind you of that
What kind of culture? Meme or mean?
meme, like
Eh,
YouTube
eh,
Shorts,
right,
really.
right. So you're experiencing, because it's a really interesting distinction. Because when I was your age, we didn't have anything even close to this, right?
Yeah.
Like when I was your age, I would get the like the almanac. Like the almanac was my internet. And every year they would have the almanac. It would come out. It would have all this information, ranging from like the economy to sports to movies and Oscars, and some of it was historical compendium, and some of it was just what happened in the previous year, and that's what we dealt with, right? And that's how, at least that's how I accessed information, and we had encyclopedias and dictionaries and things like that. But this whole idea of memes and meme culture, there was nothing like that, and it's a really interesting phenomenon because it's kind of like this blip media, right? Like you have these very short things that are kind of packed with these the postmodern kinds of meanings, and they exist on a number of different levels. And each generation, I think, has kind of different memology too. What are some of the memes that are popular in your generation?
Oh, there are tons. So there's this dance that got popular from a football player named Justin Jefferson. It's a meme. It's called the gritty. And it's a dance that people will do like in sports or like just for fun. And then there's also this meme. It's called the light skin stare. And then there are other memes like Giga Chad, Sigma. There are lots of them, really.
Right. So the light skin stare, that's a meme.
Yeah, it's basically where you're trying to attract a girl.
All right, give me a light skin stare. Give me your best light skin stare.
If you say so.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's effective. I can tell you that right now.
yeah, yeah.
You lay that on your friend Charlotte, you'll have no problem there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I won't.
So do you make memes? Are you a creator of memes yourself?
Yeah. I mean, not really memes, but sometimes I'll post some shorts. I'm really more of like a full on video guy, but sometimes I do memes.
Sometimes you do memes.
Yeah.
Right. Are you gonna put your memes on your channel? Are you gonna have like a little memology section on your channel?
Yeah, I have. I kind of made my own memes. Like, I'm kind of just like sometimes when I'm on YouTube Shorts, I'll be like, "Excuse me, oh, I want to hop on this trend." I'll do that. So
Right. So you're kind of you're understanding the trends, and then maybe you'll bust out and create your own trends somewhere
yeah,
along the way.
yeah, and especially because some of my friends have YouTube channels, and so then I'll hop on with some of their trends.
Um, you just went keto a couple months ago, right?
Oh yeah,
How's that working out for you?
it's working out really good. I've lost 20 pounds, and it's really good because I thought that I wasn't going to be able to eat anything. But I found out that there are lots of things that you can eat that are keto that just replace the junky food.
Right. Yeah. Now, keto has come a long way, and you can certainly
Yeah,
burn some calories by
yeah,
not indulging in things like sugar. And when I was your age,
yeah,
I'll tell you what I did. I drank a lot of soda, and it really was not good for me. And I was always, I wasn't fat, but I was always one of the bigger kids in my class. And I wish they had some of the like you're drinking the Zevia, and I'm drinking the green cola right here, right? And these are great replacements because they have stevia in them, and you get used to the taste. It's not quite the same, but it's pretty refreshing. If they had this stuff when I was a kid, man, I don't know. I might have been, I might have been better athletically, and I might have been able to, even get the girls easier because I wouldn't have been so fat and sweaty at that time.
yeah.
So,
It
yeah,
especially helps with my basketball career because I'm burning calories by playing sports and eating. So,
right. So, are you going to play any other sports besides basketball?
oh, about that. So, I might be on a swim team. I might play baseball or flag football because those sports really kind of captivate me a little bit.
Captivate you. Baseball's a great sport. I love baseball, and it's different than any other sport
Yeah,
because you're on your own, right? Like nobody can help you throw the ball, nobody can help you catch the ball, nobody can help you swing the bat, and yet you're doing it with a bunch of other people
yeah,
simultaneously. So to me, it's a great sport. It's an Aquarian sport in that way
mm,
because you're part of a team, but you're also an individual.
yeah.
So have you seen any baseball games since you've been here in Texas?
In real life,
Yeah, IRL. Yeah,
I might be going to one Texas Rangers game in Dallas, but I've never seen one in real life before.
it's a good
The, o-
experience. Yeah,
the only game I've seen in real life is if I've gone to like a friend's game or if I've gone to one of my own T-ball games, I guess.
right, right. All right, so we know you like the High Middle Ages. What other periods of history? Like, are there any parts of American history, recent American history that
Yes, the Revolutionary War.
really? What do you dig about that?
I like the founding fathers, and I like how the founding fathers became free.
Hmm. Right.
And I really like John Adams.
What do you like about John Adams?
I don't know. So there's this TV series that I saw. It's called John Adams. It's about the Revolutionary War, and it really, really, really got my interest. It was awesome. And it starred Paul Giamatti, and it was really, really, really cool.
He's a good actor.
Yes, very good.
Do you know about his father?
John Adams?
No,
Oh,
Paul Giamatti.
no.
So his father was named Bart Giamatti, and he
Huh.
used to be the commissioner of Major League Baseball.
Really?
Yeah, and so what happened was, do you know who Pete Rose is?
No.
All right, so here we go. Here's a little history lesson for you. Pete Rose was considered to be one of the greatest baseball players ever. He broke Ty Cobb's record for the most hits ever by a major league player, right?
Mm.
So Pete was always a bit on the controversial side. And when he was a manager and a player, he was the last player manager for the Cincinnati Reds. He was busted for betting on baseball games.
Wow.
And Bart Giamatti, who is Paul Giamatti's father, was the commissioner at that time, and he banned Pete Rose from managing. And what happened was is that they kind of had a handshake deal, and the handshake deal was that at a certain point in time, Bart Giamatti would allow Pete Rose to be eligible for voting for the Hall of Fame. But what happened was is that not long after they had this agreement, Paul Giamatti's father, Bart Giamatti, died, and he was replaced by his assistant, and his assistant did not like Pete Rose. So it was like, I don't care if you and Bart had a handshake deal for the Hall of Fame. You're not getting in there, buddy. Not on my watch. So that's a history there for you, a little American history with Pete Rose, Bart Giamatti, Paul Giamatti, of course, being John Adams.
Mm-hmm.
So what does it mean for you to be an American? How would you describe that?
Free.
Free.
Yes, because it feels good for me to be a free citizen.
I like that. So some people will say that with freedom comes responsibility.
Yeah.
How would you interpret that?
Depends on what kind of responsibility.
That's a good question. That's a good comeback. But so do you feel like we have a responsibility to maintain our freedom?
Kind of. Yes.
Right. Well, if we don't maintain our freedom, what will happen to our freedom?
We'll lose it.
There you go. So there is a level of responsibility there that we need so that we can maintain this idea of being free. What are some of? Go ahead.
And all the people tried to take it away.
Well, this is what happened when we had the COVID lockdown, and it was really a striking example of this idea of personal freedom versus responsibility, right? Mm-hmm. Like there were some people that were saying you have to be responsible for other people during this crisis. Yeah. And there were other people who were saying, well, all I need to do is to be responsible for myself. Yeah. And if I can maintain my health, then it's up to you to maintain your health as well. Uh-huh. Right? How do you feel about that? This idea that theoretically we have to be responsible for other people. Where do you chime in on that?
Well, it's a very complex subject.
It is in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and it's really interesting.
It is because on the one hand, we do have to be responsible for who we are, right? Yeah. And on the other hand, we are living in a society where there are other people who have other either needs or they have other kinds of situations that might be different than ours. So, what's interesting is that you've landed here on this planet in a really complex time, right? There's so much change going on in the world in ways, and I've been here for 63 years now, and I've never seen so much change happen in such a short period of time. How do you adapt to change?
Well, felt really weird for me because So, in this case, not well, because I really didn't want to get the jab. So, I didn't adapt too well, but now that I live in a new state, it's much better. And really feels good.
You guys came from California and moved to Texas. Yeah. That's a big change, right?
Yeah. So we didn't have to take the jab.
Right. You didn't have to take the jab. You guys got out in the right time. Yeah. And so and that has a lot to do with your parents and their ability to take the temperature of what was going on and put you in an environment where you could be more free than you were in California, right?
Yeah. There were a lot of protests and rallies in California where we had to protest.
So, besides being free as an American, what else do you like about being an American? What does it mean to you?
Um, well, I also really like. This isn't related to being free, but I like the American wildlife.
You like the American wildlife.
Yes.
Kind of related to being free. Like wildlife is free in its
Yeah.
own way, right?
I love all sorts of American wildlife, like beavers, raccoons, squirrels, rabbits. Really cool.
Right. And the ecosystems that those animals set up are just tremendous, especially the beavers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there are also other animals called nutrias that are related to beavers that have orange teeth.
Right. Right. They're not they're kind of considered pests, aren't they? The nutria.
Yeah, they're nutrias. It's really weird how they have orange teeth. They remind me of candy corn.
Candy corn teeth. That's
Yeah.
funny. Um, so when you homeschool, do you do it alone or are there other kids involved in your homeschool network?
So we do this thing called CC. It's a homeschool co-op. So we'll meet up on Thursday or Friday, depending on the semester, and then you'll meet other kids. You'll get to do math. You do 7 subjects. You do math, geography, timeline, English, history, and Latin.
Latin. Oh, cool.
And I might be leaving out one. Well, you do 7 subjects. It's really fun. And then, so if you're 7th grade or lower, but so if you're 7th grade or lower, you'll do this thing called essentials, which goes from 4th to 6th grade. You do it in 4th and 5th and 6th grade. It's really fun, and you get to be and you get to dress up, and you get to make a paper about a historical figure and dress up about them.
And are you
And
are you are you going to do John Adams
oh, probably.
or King Richard?
Well, medieval semester was last year, and I
Okay.
was William Wallace.
Oh, William Wallace. Good choice.
Thank you. And it was really cool because he reminded me of founding fathers. He was like a medieval founding father, you know?
So I'm sensing some themes here in your interests,
Yeah.
right? The themes are freedom and
Yeah.
and courage
Uh-huh.
and standing up for those things. That's where the responsibility part comes in,
Yeah.
right? That you have to stand up for that stuff. So you have a network of kids that you're part of the homeschool world with,
Uh-huh.
which is a good thing. When COVID was happening, what was some of the conversations you were having with some of your friends? Were you guys able to talk about it, understand it? Was it confusing for you guys? Or how did that all kind of translate into your
Uh,
experience with your friends?
you know, it felt normal. It's just it felt like we were being masked.
You're being masked, right?
Yeah.
Did you guys talk about it though? Did you say this sucks or I'm glad that we're not doing this? And
No,
did
we never really talked about that.
never really talked about it? Okay, that's kind
Only
of a
the
hard.
adults did.
What's that?
Only the adults did.
Only the adults did. Yeah, I mean those are hard conversations to have
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. So were you ever in a situation where you were out in public and you were unmasked and you would run into a kid who was masked? Like, did that happen? Did you communicate? What did that feel like?
Um, I don't recall that happening, but that happened to us in a store, and people got mad at us. And this Karen came up to us and tried calling the manager.
So you had a Karen sighting.
Yeah, we did.
How did that go?
Um, bad for her because my mom showed her that we were free.
Good mom. Excellent mom.
Yeah.
So when I was 11 years old, um, I I had a couple of weird fears,
Yeah.
right? So one of my fears was I'd seen this movie called Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And the whole idea with that movie is that there were these pods from outer space,
Huh.
and they would pop and they would take on the shape and the appearance of the person that the pod was near. And then they would basically come to life, and then they would eliminate the person whose shape they were taking. And that movie scared the daylights out of me. And I used to like check under my bed to see if there was a pod there for like about a week after I saw that movie.
Oh.
A kind of an irrational fear, but a fear nonetheless. Do you have any fears in general, or do you have any kind of strange, kind of out there fears?
Okay, I have two fears. One, when I go to like the ocean or a really big swimming pool, I'm worried that there will be this prehistoric reptile called the Mosasaurus and that it'll eat me. And it's a really interesting fear, but I still kind of do fear it. And then I have another fear. So there was this weird creature. It was a weird goat from Argentina, and it was really weird. And basically, every now and then, when I go to the bathroom, I'll just check the shower curtain and I'll just make sure it's not there.
So you're checking to see if the weird goat creature from Argentina is not there.
Yes, I do not want it to be here.
I could kind of relate to that in some ways. And so tell me more about this prehistoric creature from the ocean. How did that grab your imagination?
Oh, so it's called the Mosasaurus. It's 50 feet long and it will eat sharks.
Wow. So
Yeah.
that got your attention.
Yes, it was terrifying.
When was the last time there was a Mosasaurus sighting? I'm just curious.
Like, probably during the time of the dinosaurs, so 65 to like 200 million years ago. Maybe.
Well, so that's a very, very ancient fear in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the ocean is really interesting because it represents like our imagination. And yeah, and there's this thing called the collective unconscious. Have you learned about the collective unconscious yet?
No.
All right. So the collective unconscious is a concept that was created by a guy by the name of Carl Jung. And the collective unconscious is like this field, this like psychic field where all of these things dwell, like symbols and images, our fears, our aspirations, everything that's related to us in a way that wouldn't be considered conscious or tangible exists in this field, right? So this idea that the Mosasaurus is an object of fear for you would be something that would be like a very ancient memory from the collective unconscious, and that it may not even be you, but it might be part of mankind's memory that you're tapping in. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, kind of. It's kind of an ancient fear.
An ancient fear. It may not even be yours, right? That's what happens with the collective unconscious. We tap into things that aren't even our own in a lot of ways. What do you need there? Something to eat?
Oh, no, I'm just getting a tissue.
Okay.
My nose is a bit runny today. All right.
What you need is you need a couple of peppers. It'll get that thing really running.
Yeah. And then if I want my hands to shake, I'm going to need a couple of Scotch bonnets.
Okay, so we've tapped into a couple of things that are bring up some fear for you. And then what inspires you?
What inspires me?
Yeah.
It kind of depends. Well, I have an inspiration. He's a basketball player. His name is Nikola Jokic.
Oh, we talked about him. So that he actually does inspire you.
Yeah, I like how he's very humble.
Right.
And he's very nice, and he's not arrogant, and he's like a role model.
Yeah, he really is really humble, isn't he? And he's
dedicated all to his teammates and coaches.
That's pretty inspiring. Those are good qualities. So there's also a term called aspiration, right? Like you aspire to be like somebody.
Yeah,
So he inspires you, and he also aspires you to be more,
yeah,
maybe more like. That's a
yeah.
really good choice. What else is inspirational in your life? What do you really get excited about and say, man, this is such a cool thing. I want more of it.
Probably history.
History's the thing. Is it your grandfather a professor?
Yes, he inspires me.
There you go. So I can see that maybe you've got the professorial history teaching gene in there, passed down by another generation. Would you like to teach subjects like history or anything that's related? I mean, just in fact, just being a teacher in general. Like, does that interest you?
Yeah, I would really like to be a history teacher. It would seem really fun at Texas A&M.
Texas A&M, an
Yeah.
Aggie. Have you been down to that part of Texas yet?
No.
Uh huh. Right. Well, it's pretty hot down there, just like spend any other part of Texas these days. How are you doing with the heat, by the way? This is really very exceptional heat we're experiencing.
Yeah. Yeah. I know this isn't related, but how's Jasper?
Jasper's great. He's sitting right here. He decided he really wanted to be a part of this show. So he's like right underneath my name. Right now I'm touching his back.
No.
I'm playing him like a piano right
Nice.
now. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're enjoying the show.
Yeah.
So, okay. Do you have any insight at all into other kids your age? Like we're talking about Generation A, which is what you're a part of. Do you have any insight in general about your own generation?
What do you mean insight?
Well, like, how do other kids appear to you? Are you guys all kind of in the same boat? Are you different? Do you feel like you're connected to them in any particular way?
Yeah, because we all love playing sports. We all love playing sports. We'll play baseball every day.
So sports is a big deal with your generation.
Yeah.
That's
Lots of people love it.
that's good. And are you guys competitive, or do you have fun, or do you have fun and are competitive at the same time?
So some of my friends can be a little bit on the competitive side, especially this kid named Quentin. He's very competitive. But then the other kids really just have fun. But we're also kind of competitive.
Right. Well, that's good.
It's
Having
very
fun and being competitive is a good thing. So
yeah.
when you play basketball, do you smack talk at all?
If it's pickup, yes.
Yeah. Right. But not in like a legit like league game.
Oh no, no. Or
Yeah.
else I'd get like a tech.
A what? You would get a
Technical, yeah,
technical
like a
foul.
technical foul.
Right. So you're more like Jokic in the league game. Um,
Yeah.
so okay, we got that. When you're playing pickup, what is your smack talk line? You got a smack talk line?
Uh, not really. Kind of depends on my situation.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, now I wasn't clear about this. I think you might have mentioned it, but do you also play a musical instrument?
Oh, so I used to play piano, but I'm trying to get lessons.
You're trying to get lessons.
Yeah.
Well, that shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah, it's like the easiest instrument actually.
You think so? Are you good with the left hand, right hand thing? Are you good with that?
Uh, kind of. It really helps because I have an ear to like memorize things, like
Right,
songs.
right.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I had this ability to hear a song by an artist or a band. And if they played another song by that artist or that band, I would know exactly who it was. Right? Do you have that too? Do you have that kind of like recognition memory?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
I have that with some artists.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Axel, this is your last few minutes here as we kind of round into the top of the hour.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to say to people or share with people about being a kid in the 21st century?
Um, not really. I mean, kind of. I don't know, really.
Okay. Well, kind of. You kind of want to say something. If you were to say to people what your generation based on your own experience is like, what would that be?
Um, very modern.
Modern. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. This is the modern world. And
Yes.
you are the most updated version of humanity, ready to take on all the challenges that modernity and post-modernity have to offer to you.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, you get your website up, you get your channel up and running, and you get a few more videos under your belt. We'll have you back on,
All right.
and we'll talk more about how you're doing and what's going on with your life. I mean, it could be kind of cool. Like we could check in with you a year from now, and 2 years from now, 3 years from now. We can kind of watch your progress as you move along your evolutionary path. It might be a really cool thing to do. Are you up for that?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll keep tabs of you, Axel,
All right.
and you keep doing, all the great stuff that an 11-year-old kid should be doing, and we're all very proud of you
Thank
for
you.
for being able to stand up for things like freedom and making sure that those things are important elements in
Thank
your
you.
life. So thanks for doing all that, and
Thank you.
hopefully we'll see you again sometime soon in IRL in real life. And
Yeah.
I got some chilies here that I'm growing, so I got one with your name on it.
Nice. Oh, and also make sure to subscribe to Axel the History Kid
There you go, Axel the History Kid. Give him some.
and Robert Phoenix 11th House Media.
There you go. I appreciate that, Axel. Thanks for the plug.
You're welcome.
Okay, well, listen, you have a great day and a great weekend and a great 4th of July, and we'll be talking to you again soon, okay?
Thank you.
All right, there we go. That is Axel, the history kid. And interesting, right? Like we get a bit of insight into uh, a young person and what they're going through and how they're experiencing life. And he's got wonderful parents, as you can tell. Like they have done everything in their path to steward him in a way that allows him to be free, to experience freedom, qualities that are essential for our what man. Jasper is so into being on this table today. Every time I go to kick him out, he's like right here. Do you want to just give people a gaze of your liney face? Look at that. He's Mr. Happy. Mr. A lot of you were asking about Russ Winter. Russ will be back on Friday. He's always the last Friday of every month, and he'll be back here on Friday of next week. I think we get into some maybe some 4th of July stuff or some Americana. We are in Cancer, and it is Americana time. Uh, is Pride Month over yet? Are they still into Pride Month? I don't think so. By the way, did you see the new Bud Light commercial? It's kind of like, okay, yeah, you didn't like that last one. Well, here's one that's real American. Yeah, we're gonna kick sand in your face, and we're also gonna shit on your head. The good job, Bud Light. The double down's not working. You're going down in flames. You're going down in flames. Your attempt to be funny, ironic, and humorous has been lost on just about everybody that's seen your new commercial. It's an absolute disaster. And if that was your best comeback to your Dylan Mulvaney disaster, then you deserve to be rendered to the dustbin of history. It's unfortunate too, because I talked about how this has an impact on a lot of other people and their jobs and all the downstream elements, and they're just setting it on fire. Right? It's like Burning Man. They're just setting it on fire. I'm not sure how much else we have to talk about. I mean, there's plenty to talk about. Obviously, we can talk about the Titan. Yeah, maybe we talk about that a little bit before we get out of here. So, one of the things that's interesting for me about what happened. Is that it? Am I done? Am I done? Oh man, guess I'm done. That was weird. That was really weird. Okay, so something happened with StreamYard. Jasper, was that you? The Titan, the whole Titan thing was just bizarre. And what's fascinating about the Titan and the Titanic is the day that the Titanic sunk was on April 15th. And that happens to be tax day. Isn't that interesting? The Titanic sunk on April 15th, and that becomes tax day. And of course, on the heels of the Titanic, we have the Federal Reserve, we have the taxation system. So every day when you pay tribute on April 15th, it's connected to the Titanic. It's connected to the sinking of this vessel. Now, there were some very interesting people on board the Titanic, and one of them was John Jacob Astor. And apparently, John Jacob Astor was an opponent of the central banking system and the Federal Reserve and this whole idea of fiat lending. He was very powerful. John Jacob Astor was incredibly powerful. And he was one of 3 people on the Titanic who went down with the ship. And here we go, right? We have the mini Titanic, the Titan, which was basically a kind of a beer can sized submersible. Very strange circumstances. And apparently it exploded. Like it exploded over the weekend. And they kept it out of the news cycle. Right? They wanted this search to go on. They wanted to have this distraction take place. Why is that? And how does it happen? Well, if you know anything, there's this thing called the Smith-Mundt Act. And the Smith-Mundt Act essentially allows the CIA to create propaganda, to interfere with the news cycle, to create things like fake news. And the Smith-Mundt Act was repealed when Obama became president, and it has not been put back into place since then. So that's the mechanism. The why is up for speculation. Some people think it was to distract. Hold on a second. I think it's time to end the show. Speaking of distractions, we'll be back here on Sunday night for Sunday Night Astro Live. I want to thank Axel, the history kid, for being here. And use your head in order to discern what's real, your heart to step what's possible. Take care. Thank you, everybody. Much love. Bye for now.